What's cooking, Juventus fans? Welcome back to your old lady's favorite YouTube channel. Today is another day that's going to be filled with Mercado rumors heading into the summer Mercado. Obviously, we still have a lot of time to play. Juventus still need to figure out where they're going to finish in the top four, or are they going to finish outside of the top four? Stick with us. We'll fill you in. Ciao ragazzi, welcome back to the Bianconeri Zone. My name is Justin Sofro. Today, it's Saturday, March 5th, 2022. And of course, I have your latest rundown of all things Juventus, all the news that you care about, and as quickly as possible as I stutter to get that out there to begin the show. Before we do anything, though, let's go ahead and smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. Now, let's just jump into it and what news we have for you for today. So, obviously, the very first one, the big news story of the day, is going to be about Paul Pogba. It's probably the reason that you clicked on this video because I'm sure it's in the thumbnail. Gazzetta dello Sport are reporting on the situation around Pogba, around Juventus and Manchester United. They go on to say that Juve are already planning for a big name in midfield for next season, and they will make an attempt for Pogba before moving on to other players. Pogba's desire is to return to a place and a team where he was truly happy. Max Allegri is already working to convince Pogba to join him in Turin. Juve are currently considering giving Pogba a base salary of 7.5 million euros, bonus to reach up to 10 million euros, the same as Vlahovic's salary for 3 seasons. Pogba and the club would benefit from the growth decree, could benefit from the growth decree, which would allow savings of 50% on taxes for those who have worked abroad in the last 2 years. Cut me some slack. This is a really long graphic. Holy crap. Allegri hoped that Paul Pogba, with whom he shared 2 seasons with, Juventus could return to the club, and he would love to coach the player again. Paul will have the last word. So really, yeah, if there's anything really clear to go by with this is Juve want Paul Pogba to return to Juventus. They will do their part to get him to come back to Juventus. Their part can go up to a certain number. 10 million euros total is what they're willing to pay him per season. That's including bonuses. I think that's a fair-ish number, especially looking at what Arriva Bene and obviously Cherubini are willing to pay players now coming into Juventus, even the top-tier talents like Vlahovic, but they're not going to go crazy, right? They're not going to go crazy with their spending. They're not going to give Paul Pogba, Manchester United kind of money. They're giving PSG kind of money. It depends. Do you really want to play for the club that you want to be at, or do you just want to make that cash? And I can't really blame him either way. If he wants to come back to Juventus, be a part of the Juventus squad, cement his legacy here at Juventus, and doing something maybe to really help the squad do something special in Serie A, and then also returning to that special place in Serie A, and then also maybe do something special there in Champions League. All for it, but he'd have to do it at a price cost. We'll see what he ends up making his decision at, but it seems right now, obviously, the hot names for Juventus going into the Mercado are Paul Pogba and, of course, Nicolo Zaniolo, and I know you guys have thoughts on it. If you watched our, debate show yesterday, many people had thoughts on that. Continuing on, the next story, though, Gazzetta dello Sport has more news saying this coming week, Juventus and Paulo Dybala's agent will meet. Juventus will offer less than back in October. In October, they offered 8 plus 2 million euros, getting to 10. The club will also lower the offered agent fee. So obviously that makes sense just because of injuries. What do we find out today? Paulo Dybala is injured again, even though he was recovering from something. Maybe it was a knock, maybe it wasn't. Whatever was going on, he's injured, and you're doing no good if you can't play for the club. Still, it would be really difficult to lose him for free. We'll see what happens there. But continuing on with that, there's this part with Calcio Mercato reports saying that Paulo Dybala is not super happy with the club, saying in the next few days, Jorginho, Dybala's agent, is expected in Turin for a key meeting with the Juve management. The new proposal from Juventus will see a cut in commission for the agent and perhaps a slight change in the contract offer from 8 million euros plus 2 million in bonuses. Dybala is not happy with the way the club has handled the renewal issue, also in the media. However, he is open to talk about it again after the initial proposal, later retracted in October. So this is something, obviously we've got to follow it. If you're a Juventus fan, this is the key story to what Juventus will do going forward. We'll maybe bring in the addition of Paul Pogba. Also, the allure of that, the idea of reuniting the two in the summer, maybe that'll help sway Dybala's feelings currently, especially giving the lower price. But also, I think it makes sense. I think he has to also be reasonable and realize, hey, who's going to pay him this? Maybe. And if he does get angry, if he is upset, and he ends up going to say, now I don't think he's going to an Inter, but say he goes to a Barcelona, they're willing to pay that, right? Or if he's willing to go somewhere else like that, where is there a Premier League club that'll pay him that amount of money, especially given his injury status. If they're willing to pay that, I think Barcelona seems like the prime location, though, if you're asking me. If they're willing to pay that to him, by all means, understand it. But at the same time, I would think most places would be reasonable and see him and his current issues and his health issues, and to see what he could actually be worth right now if you're not playing those big minutes. Also, Dybala, how important is the club to you? You've talked about how important it is to stay at Juventus. There are a lot of factors in here that should sway your decision. We'll see. We'll keep monitoring as it goes. Like I said, there's meetings, but it seems like the final big moments are getting there. Though, remember yesterday, obviously, if you watched the news story yesterday, I think Alejandro went over it saying, I believe, I can't remember exactly, it was Nedved or whoever it was said it, that basically those talks have been resolved. He said those talks, he didn't say what player, he said those players that need to be renewed have been figured out. So does that include Dybala? Or is that just about Bernardeschi and Cuadrado? I don't know. We'll keep monitoring it. We'll have an update once we have, pen to paper or a, final agreement story. Because there's been a lot of agreement stories, but that final pen to paper story. Let's continue on, though. We got to talk about Ligt. That's Tuttosport reporting, saying that Ligt is happy at Juve and sees himself at the club for a long time, with in the future being the Capitano. The club is thinking about a new long-term deal, lowering the fixed wage but making the bonuses easier to reach. I guess the only way that I can understand making it feasible to lower the fixed wage, maybe you could give him a raise by obviously making those bonuses easier to reach. Like I just repeated, I don't know why I said it that way. But you make that go up. You lower the normal wage as long as the overall amount of money he's getting is more, right? I think at the same time, a lot of that may have to do with Ligt and his management, Raiola, right, would maybe agree to a lower wage that's fixed if you can pay him more in that way. And then also if you're coming down on that, obviously the clause for him to depart Juventus and the amount of money that a club would have to pay for that, his exit fee, if you will. Also, yeah, I think everything I've seen from De Ligt, I am ready to commit. It took me a while to get there, but I'm pretty ready to give a commitment to De Ligt for a long-term future. If they're able to sustain that, it seems to me probably more and more likely that he'll end up leaving Juventus at some point, right? If I'm being reasonable. But at the same time, if you can do whatever you can to keep him there, I think signing him up to be the captain long-term could be a way to go, just because, to me, he has the qualities that I need from a captain. And a lot of times, obviously, the captain comes from the center back position. It's pretty common, especially Juventus' recent history. All right, let's continue on, though. Talking about the center back position, Tuttosport also continues to say that with Gatti working on De Ligt's new contract, the club are looking to replace Bonucci and Chiellini long term. Romagnoli, Bremer, and Ginter are names to keep an eye on in the future. There's really not much to say here, right? Obviously, it's going to be a news story eventually. Chiellini, we talked about it, I think, a little bit. They talked about it in the debate. I think Leandro made some good points saying, basically, Chiellini, it might be time with the amount of injuries and the amount of time that he's missing. It might be time to be like, here's your desk upstairs. Here's your desk. We appreciate everything you've done. And here, if you ask me, just to be clear, I'm not disparaging Chiellini by any means. If you ask me, really, it was a big 2. I have a big 3 when it comes to my Juventus fandom and the players that I love, that I think are the greatest players that I personally seen during my time as a Juventus fan. And really, that is Buffon, Del Piero, and Chiellini has become that third member of that since I've been a fan. Obviously, there's a lot of people with a lot more history and a lot more, obviously love the other players, Platini and everybody else, but during my time, the people that I have truly appreciated, Chiellini has joined that triumvirate for me. Anyway, as it continues on, Bonucci probably have a few more years, so maybe you'd move him into that role. Maybe he'd be him alongside De Ligt. Maybe he'd be in a reserve role. We'll see what happens down the line. But then you could potentially bring in Romagnoli, who right now we know Lazio is definitely in that and maybe is leading the way to sign Romagnoli. We'll see if that ends up happening. And then Bremer, which is everybody's fell in love with Bremer, especially during the game that he played against Juventus. He had a really good game. Also, if we're being honest though, Bremer, I don't know if I see it happening. I know that people talk about Gatti and trying to use him. I don't know. I just see the relations with Torino and Juventus not being good enough to really be able to get that done. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on that in Ginter as well. All right, let's continue to another name that's an old name. When I say an old name, a name that came back from basically Juventus, maybe looking at him for the midfield. As if for some reason Pogba doesn't work out, Zaniolo is the way that they decide not to go. Who could they go with? And that is our guy, Jorginho. Calcio Mercato is reporting that saying Juventus are looking at Italians. Jorginho is a name to keep an eye out for. I don't know why I paused like that. The player might ask Chelsea to leave contract until 2023, as he would be open to returning to Italy. I think there was a lot of ideas and a lot of belief that a couple years ago, if Juventus did not sack Maurizio Sarri, that they probably would have signed Jorginho that summer. I think they probably would have gotten him, and he probably would have joined the club. Obviously, I'm not the guy to talk about in a reasonable fashion about if Jorginho's a player I'd go for. Absolutely, I'd go for Jorginho. But that's also just because of my, obviously, biases when it comes to the Italian national team and my appreciation for him. Though it may have dropped a little bit with those the struggles in the penalty area for Juventus in stealing their opportunity to go to the World Cup for this year. If it continues to struggle, I might change it, just be like, nah, we good. We're good. But let me know your thoughts. Do you like Jorginho? Would that be a good option, you think, to bring into Juventus? Or do you think maybe he's past his prime and maybe he wouldn't work out in the Juventus locker room? Let me know in the comment section down below. And then the last bit of story today is talking about Fabiano Parisi. Gazzetta dello Sport is saying that Juventus are interested in the 21-year-old Empoli left back Fabiano Parisi. I want to keep going to Paratici instead of Parisi. The Tuscan club is asking 10 million euros for the player at the current time. I think right now, just really to go off him, he's a left back player. Maybe he could be one of those options instead of getting Cambiaso or one of the many names that have popped up. We'll see once Juventus have finally focused in on a left-back player that they really want. This year, he's had 15 appearances, had 1 assist, and 4 yellow cards. So if you like yellow cards, he seems to be good for a few of those throughout his play. Let me know your thoughts on all the topics that we talked about today, though, really. I think that's just really the quick way about it, right, for the Mercato as we look at it coming in during the summer after Juventus finally find where they have sealed themselves either with, as most of us hope for, or think in the top 4, or if you're Alejandro, thinking that they're going to be outside of the top 4 for the first time in a long time. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you like those names? Do you like those moves that Juventus seems to be making? What do you think about the Dybala situation? Ligt, if Juventus is able to keep him long term, I think that's a way to go. I don't know how you could argue that with me, but if you want to argue that with me, leave that in the comment section down below. And then, of course, I really want to hear your thoughts on the potential addition of Jorginho to Juventus. Do you think it'll get done? Do you like the player? Let me know in the comment section down below. Anyway, guys, please hit that like button, smash that subscribe button if you liked what you saw here today and want to join our community. Also, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. And then also, make sure you follow Bianconeri at Bianconeri on Twitter and Instagram. And follow me, if you feel so inclined, at Justin Sofro on Twitter as well. We'll see you next time. Forza Juve, Forza Bianconeri.